Okay, so picture this for a second. You are standing in the Louvre, in Paris.
Right.
You fought through all the crowds, and you are finally staring at the Mona Lisa, behind that thick, bulletproof glass.
It's probably the most famous object on Earth.
Arguably, yeah. Now, just pause that image. Imagine walking outside the museum, finding a little patch of dirt, and looking at one single random blade of grass. Which one is worth more?
Well, I think 99% of people are going to say the painting. It's human genius. It's history.
Right. It's priceless. But today we're diving into a text that claims we have that completely backwards.
Uh-huh.
It argues that that blade of grass is infinitely more valuable than the Mona Lisa, or the Liberty Bell, or even personal artifacts of a president.
It is a massive claim. But, once you understand the logic behind it, it sets the stage for a really, a radically different worldview.
Welcome back to The Deep Dive. Today we're unpacking a speech titled The Day of All Things.
It was delivered by Reverend Myung Moon on June 21st, 1982, at the Belvedere Estate in New York.
And I have to say, looking at the notes, this isn't just a sermon about nature, is it?
No, not at all. To really get this, you have to understand the room. This speech was delivered just 10 days before a massive wedding ceremony scheduled for July 1st.
Ah, the mass weddings. The thousands of couples in a stadium.
Exactly. So picture that audience. You've got thousands of young people, many of whom are about to be matched and married to, well, total strangers in less than 2 weeks.
Wow.
The tension in that air must have been just incredibly high. They're all waiting for life-changing guidance.
And instead of giving them marriage advice right off the bat, he starts talking about museums.
He starts with the environment. But yes, the living museum concept is the hook.
Okay, so let's unpack this. The text opens with this comparison between a human leader, a U.S. president specifically, and God,
Right.
which feels like kind of a random comparison to make.
Well, it's an analogy about legacy. The speaker points out that when a president finishes their term, or when any great figure dies, what do they leave behind? They build a library.
Or a museum.
A museum. But what is inside that museum?
Stuff.
Pens, desks, signed papers.
Right. Dead things, artifacts. The speech argues that however important those things are, they are fundamentally dead.
Okay.
But then he pivots to God. He calls God the King of Love. And the argument is, what kind of museum would a living creator build?
A living museum.
Exactly, nature itself. The speech argues that because a flower, or that blade of grass we mentioned,
Right.
it actually contains life. And because it was crafted directly by the King of Love, it is a masterpiece far superior to any dead object in a human museum.
I found this part interesting. He says the blade of grass has a legacy. There's this line where he imagines asking a flower, hey, did you see Adam and Eve?
Right.
And the flower says, no, but my great-great-great-grandfather did.
It's a fascinating way to frame it. He's presenting nature as humanity's elder brother.
Yeah.
The text points out that nature was created before humans.
Oh, interesting. So in the hierarchy of existence, the trees and the rocks are actually your elders. They have this direct line of memory to the beginning of time. They know the Creator's touch in a way that, he argues, humans have forgotten.
But here's where the text gets a little darker. He says this living museum isn't happy.
Oh.
He actually describes nature as groaning.
This is central to the theology here. He says nature is grieving. Why? Because it was created for a specific purpose, to bring joy to humanity. It wants to be appreciated.
So it's waiting for a true master to come along and admire it.
That's the idea.
So because I'm walking past a tree and just ignoring it on my phone, the tree is sad.
In this worldview, yes, but it goes deeper. The text describes a feedback loop. He claims that human love acts as actual fertilizer.
Wait, like literal fertilizer or spiritual fertilizer?
He frames it as an energy exchange. He says when you look at a plant with genuine affection, it's like an injection of energy. It boosts the plant's vigor. But because modern humans are so clogged up and self-absorbed, nature's just sighing in sorrow. It's basically looking at us and saying, you guys are leading such paltry lives and you're ignoring us.
That is a lot of pressure to put on a walk in the park.
It is, but it establishes the stake. We are failing as curators of this museum.
Okay, so nature is sad, but the speech shifts gears pretty quickly to nature being a school. This is the ultimate textbook theme.
Right. He's trying to explain how humans are supposed to function by looking at biology. He poses this question. How did the first humans, Adam and Eve, know how to love?
Do you mean like did they just instinctively know how to kiss?
Yeah, that's literally the question he asks. And his answer is they were voyeurs. They watched the animals.
Really?
Essentially, yes. He argues that nature is structured in a pair system. You have subject and object, male and female.
Can we just pause on subject and object for a second? I see that term a lot in these translations. Is that just, fancy grammar talk?
It's a core concept in this philosophy. Subject usually refers to the initiator or the giver of energy. An object is the receiver or responder.
No.
It's not about one being better than the other. It's about a circuit. You need both to have a flow of energy.
Got it. So he's saying Adam and Eve looked at the birds and the bugs and they saw this circuit.
Exactly. He mentions mommy bugs and daddy bugs. He says Adam and Eve watched the birds interacting, the male calling, the female responding, and realized, oh, that's how we're supposed to function. Nature was the teacher of intimacy.
But then he gets very specific about how men and women see nature differently. I have to say, this part felt a little stereotypical.
It's definitely a very traditionalist view. He creates a hypothetical scenario where Adam and Eve are touring the Garden of Eden. He argues that Adam, representing the masculine, is naturally attracted to the big things, the mountains, the giant trees. He sees an eagle and admires its power and dignity.
And
He says Eve is attracted to the tiny, the cute, and the peaceful. So while Adam is, racing a deer, Eve is looking at a swallow or a tiny ant and finding beauty in that detail.
so men like monster trucks and women like dollhouses.
In a 1982 theological sense, maybe. But the point he's trying to land isn't just about stereotypes, it's about synthesis.
Okay.
He's arguing that if you only have Adam's view, you miss half the museum. If you only have Eve's view, you miss the other half. You need both perspectives to fully appreciate the living museum.
Okay, I can get behind the harmony idea. But then he starts talking about the parts of the museum that I think most of us would want to skip.
Yeah.
The text spends a weird amount of time defending poisonous snakes.
It does.
If this is a museum of love, why are there cobras?
This is the classic problem of evil question, right? Why does pain exist? And his answer is very pragmatic. First, he talks about thorns on a rose. He calls them a security device.
To stop people from stealing them.
To stop greedy people. The idea is that the thorns ensure that only someone who really values the flower and is careful can touch it. It filters out the careless.
Okay, I can buy that for a rose. But a snake. He says snakes aren't a mistake.
He argues that snakes just want the sunny spots, too.
Look, I like a sunny spot, but I don't bite people with neurotoxin.
True. But he argues that the presence of the snake forces the human to be humble. You can't be indolent or lazy in the garden.
You have to be alert.
You have to be alert. It forces you to respect the environment rather than just dominating it.
So the danger keeps us sharp.
Yes. And he even points out that snake venom, if processed through the digestive system or used medically, can be curative. His bottom line is, nothing in the living museum is waste.
Everything has a purpose.
Everything has a purpose, if you understand it.
Okay, so we've got nature as a teacher, snakes as lessons in humility. But then, the speech takes a hard left turn. We go from biology to straight-up supernatural claims.
The mystical experience section, yeah.
He talks about traveling to the spirit world, riding on lions. But the part that really stopped me was the food, the talking food.
The flower cakes.
Yeah. He says he was hungry, fell asleep, and dreamt of angels bringing him rice cakes. And the cakes started talking to him.
Not just talking, begging.
Father, please take me. I will work miracles in your stomach. How do we interpret that? Is he being metaphorical?
The text presents it as a literal spiritual experience, and it's consistent with the living museum idea. If everything is alive and wants to bring you joy.
Then even the food has a desire.
Exactly. The cake isn't a dead object. It wants to fulfill its purpose by nourishing you. It's the ultimate expression of a universe that is totally centered on serving the human being.
But then he drops another claim. He says he has X-ray vision.
Right. He contrasts sunlight vision, which is what we use to see skin and surfaces, with X-ray vision, which lets him see bones and the interior.
And he's not talking about being Superman. This isn't a comic book.
No. This is the crucial bridge in the speech. We're about to pivot to the weddings. Why should these thousands of young people trust him to pick their spouses?
Because he has X-ray vision.
Exactly. He claims he can see inside a person, their spirit, their lineage, their destiny in a way they can't see themselves. He's telling them, you see the surface, I see the reality. That is why I am qualified to match you.
That raises the stakes immensely. He's basically saying, your eyes are lying to you. My eyes are the truth.
Which brings us to the climax of the speech, the application. He has spent 40 minutes talking about appreciating nature, accepting snakes, seeing the invisible. Now he points at the audience and says, apply this to your spouse.
And this is where the advice gets unusual. He tells them to treat their future spouse like a research project.
He's addressing the fear of boredom. I mean, eternity is a long time to be married, he tells them. To keep it fresh, you have to study your partner with the same intensity a scientist studies a new species.
It sounds a little unromantic, doesn't it? Come here, honey. I need to analyze your nose.
It's definitely not a Hollywood romance, but he gets very specific. He says, study the shape of their nose, study their walk. He suggests that if you analyze one person deeply enough, you unlock the secrets of the whole universe.
And then we get the machine gun analogy.
Yes. He warns the men specifically. He says, your wife might have a mouth like a machine gun.
Meaning she talks fast, maybe she's critical.
She's firing words at you.
Which sounds like a nightmare scenario for a young groom.
But look at the solution he offers. He doesn't say tell her to stop. He says, focus on her nose.
Her nose.
He says if you focus on her beautiful nose or her eyes, you can endure the machine gun fire. It's about selective attention.
So just like you find the beauty in the thorny rose, you find the masterpiece feature in a difficult spouse.
That's it. And this leads us to the biggest philosophical concept in the text. Spherical love versus net love.
I had to read this section twice to really grasp it.
It's a complex metaphor, but it's kind of brilliant in its own way. He defines net love as flat. Think of a safety net. It's stable. It's easy to stand on.
Okay.
He associates this with physically attractive people or easy relationships.
So beautiful people give you net love.
That's the implication.
Yep.
It's easy, but it has no depth. It's two-dimensional. Then he contrasts that with spherical love. A sphere is round. It has 3 dimensions.
And he associates the sphere with ugly people.
Yes. He explicitly says if your fiancé is uglier than you, you are likely receiving spherical love.
Why? What's the logic there?
Think about the physics. If you try to stand on top of a giant ball, what happens?
You fall off, or you have to constantly balance.
Exactly. You have to work. You have to constantly adjust your weight, move your feet, and stay active just to stay upright. He's arguing that this effort creates energy.
It creates depth.
It creates depth. Net love is boring because you just stand there. Spherical love is dynamic because it requires constant conscious effort.
So he's telling this room full of people, if I match you with someone you aren't attracted to, congratulations, you got the sphere.
Precisely. He's reframing lack of attraction as a spiritual upgrade. He calls it noble.
And he tries to back this up with genetics, the law of equalization.
Right. He argues that the universe naturally wants to balance things out. He says if you're beautiful, your descendants might be ugly to compensate.
He uses the Pinocchio example.
The Pinocchio example. A big-nosed man marries a big-nosed woman to make a little Pinocchio.
I don't think that's how genetics actually works.
No, but the theological point is about harmony through opposites. He talks about tall people marrying short people, big hands seeking small hands. He's telling them that difference isn't a problem. It's the mechanism the universe uses to create balance.
And then he drops the hammer, the elephant man comment.
This is the ultimate test of the audience.
He says, essentially, even if your spouse looks like the elephant man, you should be grateful.
Right. And we need to pause on why he says that. He compares this wedding to getting into Harvard.
He says it's greater than Harvard.
He's saying that the historical significance of this event, the specific blessing ceremony, is so massive, so cosmic, that your personal preferences are irrelevant. It's an honor just to be in the room.
That is a heavy, heavy thing to tell a 22-year-old. Your spouse might be physically repulsive to you, but history will remember you.
It is intense, but it connects all the way back to the beginning. Remember the blade of grass?
Yeah.
To the naked eye, a blade of grass is worthless. You step on it. But if you see it with divine eyes, it's a masterpiece. He is asking them to do the exact same thing with their spouses.
He's saying, don't look with your sunlight eyes. Use your X-ray eyes.
Find the hidden safe of value inside that person, even if they look like the elephant man.
So let's try to synthesize this whole journey.
Yeah.
Because it really is a journey.
It is. We started with the living museum. We established that the world is alive, it's grieving, and we need to comfort it.
Then we went to the classroom.
Nature is the textbook. We learned about relationships, gender roles, and the necessity of thorns and snakes to teach us humility.
And finally, the application.
We take all that training, that ability to see value in the difficult things, and we apply it to marriage. We stop looking for the flat net love and we start building the difficult dynamic spherical love.
The speech ends with a pretty direct call to action. He tells them to liquidate their past.
Yes, that's a financial term. Sell it off. Get rid of it. He wants them to liquidate their old concepts of love, the romance, the attraction, the preferences, and start a new diary.
He's challenging them to completely reboot their operating system for how they value other human beings.
It's a total reboot.
It's a lot to process. It weaves together ecology, theology, and some very, very challenging relationship advice.
It reframes the entire world. If you actually buy into this premise, then boredom becomes impossible. Because whether you are looking at a bug, a poisonous snake, or a spouse with a machine gun mouth, there is something there to study. There is a sunny spot to find.
Which brings us to our closing thought for you, the listener. The text suggests we should study our partners and our world with the intensity of a scientist discovering a new species.
So here's the question. If you applied that research project mindset to the person or even the environment that you find the most boring or difficult in your life right now, what hidden safe of value might you find inside them if you stopped looking at the surface?
Something to think about the next time you see a blade of grass. Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.
See you then.